Where's my... Okay. Hello, are there people here? I'm sorry I'm late. I had some technical difficulties. My light is a little bad. I'm in my sister's garage. Uh-oh, I got strobe effect. That's not what I'm going for. But thanks for coming. Let's see if this light works. Okay. Got to work with me. I'm not at home. That's not very bright. But thank you for coming. I might have another light. I was posting and I didn't realize it was going to take me so long to post before my live. And so I'm late for my live. So thank you for coming. I thought we'd have a little holiday chat. And I'm looking around for more light because this light's not great. Maybe if I go like this. I'm in my sister's garage trying to make do. Hope everyone's having a nice holiday. And I wanted to come in here and talk about, I said, chat this and that, because I have a number of things on my mind. Some of it is the good news. So I just shared a post. I'm going to share some of that good news that I'm seeing. And then there's a little bit of news about 3i Atlas we could talk about. And then I also thought we might want to talk about family debriefing. Although I realized, okay, you guys can't really debrief because all you have is the chat. But you could bring up something in the chat that you want to talk about, and then I could elaborate on it, right? Hello, I want to see who's here. So I'm not in the Midwest. Someone asked. I am from Chicago, but I'm actually in Los Angeles. My sister only lives like 45 minutes from me, so it's not like I went on some big journey. But my dad's in town from Arizona, and the kids are here, and it's just a nice family gathering. We don't do the Thanksgiving thing, the Thanks-taking thing, but we do a native harvest feast. So welcome everybody. Let's see who's here. Albuquerque. We got another Chicago hometown person here. Minnesota, Memphis. You're cool with the garage lighting? Okay, thanks. Hey, if you look at the isn't the ceiling nice? I love the ceiling in this garage. That's why I picked this background. I also picked this area because there are less people, right? I wanted some peace and quiet. Somebody. Oh yeah, I still got my spatula, except when I'm using the laptop, I don't need this mic. So, because I use the laptop mic. So I don't need the spatula, but I'm actually using my sister's laptop because I didn't bring mine. Because I didn't realize I was going to be here all week. But here I am. Victoria, British Columbia, Kentucky, rural Virginia, Vero Beach, Florida. I know Vero Beach. I used to live in Florida. New York, Orlando. I used to teach in Orlando, Western North Carolina, Switzerland. I've always wanted to go to Switzerland. Yes, there is an art easel, I think. It's not mine, although I also paint. It's another family member's. Pittsburgh, you said it's chilly there. Yeah, we think it's cold here. So this chair's about to fall. So if I go flying, you know why. This chair's broken. But I'm in the attic and you got to take what you can get in the garage. You don't know what you're going to get in the garage. It's not the primo stuff, right? So, Sri Lanka. Oh, wonderful. So my best friend was Sri Lankan when I was in college and grad school, and I went to Sri Lanka and I had such a great time there. Wonderful people. Austin, Texas. So welcome everybody. Let me start talking. I get so happy about seeing all the places people are from, New Hampshire, New York, that I just want to read those names all day. Oklahoma City. So bear with my poor lighting. If you've just joined the chat, join the live. I'm in a garage making do while traveling. And is that Hawaii? I'm trying to read without my glasses. Washington State, Sarasota. I think that's Florida. Trinidad. Oh, I've been to Trinidad. I was trained in Trinidad by some Shango priestesses. Love Trinidad. All right. So I'm going to update you a little bit on some good news. I just did a post, but I lost track of time, and I spent so long editing the post, putting all my little emojis, because I like to put little emojis in my posts, that I was late from my live because I was like, let me post first a short post about news and then go to the live, but that didn't work out. Tucson. Yeah, my dad lives in Phoenix. I've been to Tucson. Tucson's nice. Okay, so some of the news that I was talking about today that I'll just go over, because you haven't seen my post because I just posted it. One thing I was talking about that I'm excited about is Mexican Spider-Man. So let me know in the chat if you heard about this. So there was can I say that word on here? There was a shooting, a mass shooting, attempted mass shooting in San Jose, California. And while that's tragic, I want to focus on the good news, which is that there was a hero there who calls himself Mexican Spider-Man. And he told this story of how he helped all of these people escape the mall and so that they weren't hurt. And I just like to focus on these type of stories because whenever we hear about these shootings, all of the focus is on the shooter. And of course, that's what they want, right? They want the attention. These are people who are, they're kind of twisted in the head. And some of them want that like fame, that negative fame. And so it's good if we don't give them that. Instead, we focus on, well, what's some good news that comes out of this? And the good news was how this guy came to the rescue of all these people. And it was funny because the way he told the story. So go find him on social media. There's his interview. He was interviewed by the news, and it's a very funny interview. It kind of reminds me of that interview from back in the day about the house fire, where that woman said, "Ain't nobody got time for that." It's kind of like that. It's an entertaining interview about a tragedy. And he says that, he was in the mall and he peeped out the shooter before anyone else did. And this is a Mexican American, right? That's what he calls himself, Mexican Spider-Man. And he said there was this white guy that came in and he knew right away something was off with this guy. And he immediately told people, "Get down, shooter." And people didn't believe him. But he was tuned in, he was tapped in, he knew. North Carolina. You don't care if I'm sitting in the dark. Thank you. Because I am. It's okay, right? Dallas, Texas. Okay, what are some other good news? Have you also heard that there are now 3 red hats who are resigning? This is more good news. And it's really good news because there's also some special elections coming up. And so between the special elections and the 3 people that are leaving, we're going to have a big shift in the numbers in the House. And so this is very exciting. And of course, we had that rumor. If you're following me, I talked about this earlier this week, that there have been a couple of people who have come out, lawmakers and people who claim they had inside intel. I can't remember who now I got it from. I think it was Aaron Parnas was one of the sources. I've gotten it from a few sources. I think Punchbowl News and Aaron and a few things. I look at a lot of different news and then I turn it into something funny. And so I forget all the places I saw it, but there's rumors of like 50 people resigning. And so we're talking about a major shift in the House. We're talking about a potentially major shift. And so just looking at the news, right, the sources out there that are saying this, it looks really good. But I can tell you that intuitively, I already know things are looking really good in the future. So for those who don't know me, I'm a psychic medium, I'm medical intuitive, but I also have a background in physics and philosophy. And I like to combine, the intuitive with the evidential. I think that they're compatible. I think they're just different sources of knowledge. And so I get information from dreams, I get information from visions, from my spirit guides, I channel, but I also, look at the news. I also look at, patterns, right? I've got the, pattern detector. I'm of course, neurospicy. Let's see. People are sending me super chats I have to attend to. I don't want to be rude. I want to thank these people. Okay. How do I go back and there we go. I am Eola. I am Eloa. I am Eloa. Hope I'm saying that right. I am Eloa. Thank you for the $20 donation. Oh, happy holidays to you too. I just want to acknowledge the nice people who are sending. Sometimes they come with a question. There's no question here. That's okay. Beanification. I love that name. Thank you for the super sticker. And oh, this person also gifted a membership. Now I don't really know how that works, but I think if you want to be a member, they send you a membership. So I have memberships, which is nice. Oh, we got another neurospicy person here. Hello, beach shrink. So the way I do these lives is I hold forth at various times, and then I also try to here's a new member, Happy Beanster 537. So thank you for becoming a member. How do I hide this? Oh, I forgot. Now I hope I acknowledged everybody who was kind enough to send me something. I do try to pay attention. I have mods, but I haven't yet figured out how to get the mods to attend to the comments. I know I know that's a key mod. My mods just keep people from acting up. And you know what? We don't really tend to have a problem with that. I always have pretty good energy in my lives. I've been very fortunate, but I also have great mods. So yeah. Okay, there we go. All right. So what was I talking about? I was talking about good news. What else? I had this whole list. So this is what I do, right? I watch the news and then I take all these notes on random pieces of paper about all the good news. So if you may have not already heard, but I've already talked about this in a post, but for those who haven't seen it, JP Morgan, I'm happy with them because they refused to cash the big beautiful check for that southern country where they're trying to run away to after the hammer comes down. And they also refused to donate to the big beautiful ballroom, right? So I feel like they're doing some financial protesting, you know. And maybe I'm just trying to spin it in a positive way because that's what I do. Maybe they have other ulterior motives, but they actually came out and said, we don't want to be a part of the corruption. We're not trying to go down with that ship. Right, because he's getting all these people to send him money for these various projects, which is just corruption and head clown, right? And they're really pushing back. And so they've pushed back in two major ways. So I see this as a sign. Now remember, I like to look for patterns. And the fact that they've done two major things that go against the circus, and these are big, big things. I mean, what was it? $50 million? 50 billion. How big was that check? Can someone put in the comments? The check that was supposed to go to the RG place down south, they did cash it. And now they're saying we're not donating to the ballroom. And I think these are major ways to protest. So the other good news I was talking about today is having to do with the QB, the frozen water, right? So we had some New Yorkers who saw some frozen water people trying to go after whoever they were trying to go after, some innocent people in a parking structure, and they said, oh no. And they also, hundreds of them just spontaneously surrounded the structure and chased the frozen water out, and they canceled the whole raid. All right, that was one amazing protest. Another amazing protest was did I already put you up there? Before I talk about the next protest, someone said there's a couple of numbers in the chat. Some people are saying 20 billion, 40 billion, billions. Someone just said billions, 20 billion. Yeah, so stop drinking the Kool-Aid. Agrees with me. JP Morgan is definitely CYAing. Yeah, they're like, so are they just CYA? I guess that's the question. Are they just CYAing or is it more? Because when it came to the check, I mean, another story about the check was that they were under investigation for fraud, or they were worried about an investigation for fraud, right? Basically, they're kind of being like, we low-key think that you are criminals. We don't want to say you're criminals, Circus, but we low-key think you're criminals, so we're just not going to cooperate because we're not trying to go to jail for you. So Yeah. Um, right. I am Medusa. It's so obvious you're corrupt. There's no in between. Um, yeah, they actually came right out. They didn't just not do it. They made a statement. Both times they made a statement. Um, oh, yes. Okay, so here was another theory. Thank you for bringing this up, Wild in the Wind. I forgot about that. That they were kind of under pressure or in hot water because they have a tie to the epi files. And so they're kind of like, "Oh, let's try to get out of the limelight real quick." And let's talk about the epi files too. I just finished. Oh, I should have brought the book over here. I was going to bring it and hold it, have a prop. I just finished Virginia Gouffre's. I'm not sure how to say her name. Virginia Roberts Gouffre. She wrote this book, Nobody's Girl, about her experience being trafficked by Epi. And she names a couple of other names. She doesn't name a lot of names, but she named Prince Andy, and she named this Brunel guy who was associated with The Secret of Victoria. And that fellow, showed up unalived in his prison. A lot of those, right? A lot of suspicious unalivings in people who are associated with these files. There's a lot of that going on. And so I'm not going to talk about it. Don't worry. If you're worried about triggering, I'm not going to trigger anyone. I'm not going to go into any detail. I'm not going to talk about what's in this book. In fact, I'm going to tell you, if you have a history of abuse, do not read this book. I'm telling people it's a great book, but don't read it if you're a woman who has experienced any type of abuse. Men need to read this book, though. Highly recommend men read this book, and maybe other genders, and maybe women who haven't experienced that, who just need to be more aware. Yeah, so listen to Rosie too. It's very hard to listen to. I read it. It's hard to read as an empath too. But figure out if it's part of your work. I'm only bringing it up because I wanted to talk about what I was really impressed with in this book. Um, this story's not going away. So I just want to say that. Let's get back to let me briefly talk about what my guides have said about this. My guides have said that this was going to be one of the key factors in the downfall of the circus was the files of Epi. And for me, the files of Epi coming out, what I'm reading in her book and what I've read in the emails that have come out thus far, the way I see all of that is as confirmation for what my guides have been telling me for a year. So those of you who've been following me from the beginning, I think it was November 6th of last year, I started talking about the fact that the joust was rigged. And I started talking about the fact that he did not win. And I started talking about this a year ago. And one of the things that I said about this, and a lot of people did, right? There were a lot of us dreaming women, 4 a.m. club members, psychics, right? People who were tapped in and tuned in, who were all picking up the same information. There were also a lot of people who just had good pattern recognition, or who were just suddenly kind of intuitively waking up, and who had dreams that night. There were a lot of women, especially. It was mostly women, although there were some theys and gays and a few men, but it was mostly women who were having these dreams the night of the joust, where it was very clear to them what had happened. And so I was one of those people, right? But I was tasked by my guides with not just saying this on one day, but they were like, you have to talk every day. You have to come on these platforms and you have to keep talking. So I've been doing that for a year. And because my purpose is to provide a spiritual perspective on our political situation, and to also help people remain hopeful, to help people to know how to fight, how to survive this, and how to vision something better in the future. I have seen something better in the future, and I feel it's my job to keep reminding people of what I have seen, so that we can stay strong and stay on course and not become overwhelmed with sadness, anger, despair, disgust, with regard to what's going on in our country. Um, and so what I was shown from the very beginning, and it was hard to see, and when I talked about it, I know a lot of people thought I was crazy, but what I said from the beginning is the reason that the head clown was able to get installed, even though there were not enough tickets for him to be in that position, was because there was a very powerful network of people who helped to make this happen. There was, hey, Dad. There was always there was politicians, political leaders of different countries, and there were also what I was always calling the seven thieves, right? Wealthy merchants, billionaires, tech bros, who some of whom actually did the actual digital finagling of the machines to make it look like somebody won who didn't win, but also he had the support, not just of him, but all these other ones, wealthy merchants, but also a global network of criminals, basically. And I also said early on that this was all connected to the files of Epi, that part of the reason that this particular circus is able to be in position, was able to get into position without having enough tickets. No one invited them, right? We didn't invite them. We invited the sultry, sexy singer who I call Lotus Queen. She's the one that actually won, according to what I've seen. But the reason he was able to be in that position and able to not be challenged, because a lot of us were very upset that he was not challenged. It seemed quite obvious to many of us that this was not legit. And yet nobody on the blue hat side was willing to question it, to speak out against it, to run investigations. And so even now, over this last year, we've had SMART, we've had ETA, we've had all these dedicated people investigating, collecting data, showing all these irregularities, and yet we don't have the support of leadership saying, hey, something's not right here. And so a lot of people were like, why is that? And I had that question. So I asked my guides, why is that? And what I was told was that this circus is like a mob family. It's a syndicate. And so some of you may have seen that I told some stories about the Gamble Gang, right, which were based on a real mobster family, the Gambinos. And it's a very good analogy for this circus, for this regime, because that's how they operate, like a crime syndicate. And so with crime syndicates, the reason that they're able to get away with a lot of things and not be challenged and not be arrested and not be prosecuted is because they have a few different things going on. They have people placed in positions of power who belong to their crime syndicate. So police officers, judges, political leaders. Like I'm from Chicago. We had something there called the Machine. I don't know if it's still there. I don't live there anymore. But when I was growing up, it was widely known that there was kind of a mob in Chicago that ran things. And so like the political parties, the Democrat and Republican parties were a part of that. And so, and then the police was a part of that. In certain areas, there were police officers who were, a part of that network, that machine. And so, yeah, we have that in New York. We have it in a lot of places. We have these mob families, these crime syndicates. And the way that they work is they place people in positions. They have people in positions of power who are in a position to interfere with them being arrested or prosecuted or judged, convicted. I mean, that's one thing they have at their disposal. Another thing they have at their disposal is the use of extortion and blackmail, right? So they get compromising material about people. And the way they get it oftentimes is they provide that. So like they run these businesses that are illegal, and then they get people involved in them, and then they document it, and they say, oh, if you don't cooperate with me, I'm going to release to the press this picture of you engaged in boudoir activities with a child, or with a lady of the night, or with someone who isn't your wife, right? Whatever the situation may be, something compromising. And so extortion and blackmail are used. And so there are a lot of people in our government, unfortunately, who are either in the files or who have been involved in something of a criminal nature that they could be exposed on. And so for those people, that's why they're quiet. But then the third thing that they use is the threat of violence. And the threats of violence that they use are not just threats of violence against the individual, but it's usually against their family. And so a lot of us, right, you might think, oh, I'm a brave person. If someone threatened to unalive me if I didn't do what they wanted me to do, and I know what they wanted me to do was wrong, I would just do it. I would just go against them and risk my life, right? Some of us are strong like that. Some of us are brave. But would you risk the lives of your children or your parents or your siblings? I know I wouldn't. I wouldn't feel comfortable sacrificing the lives of others for my beliefs. So that was what I was told by my guides, is that's another way that they got people to not challenge them, was by threats of violence. And I was told that the reason they were able to do this was not just because they're a crime syndicate that has connections in lots of places, including Rasputin, like that whole country is helping this head clown, but also the Is He Not Real place. And these are two places that have lots of really sophisticated weapons and spy networks. You got to keep that in mind. These are very sophisticated, very dangerous governments that are supporting the circus. So not only did they have that at their disposal, these connections and these resources, but they also had at their disposal the militias. And so there were a large number of supremacist militias in our country. And they've been around for years, but they were kind of mobilized by the circus, by the head clown, by the Magatonia movement. And they were ready at the drop of a dime to start boom, 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 whoever they were told to. And if it was to come out like on November 7th or 6th or whatever, that this was an illegitimate contest, and if it was challenged, those people were going to start with the pow, pow, boom, boom immediately. They were like, what they explained it to me is they were like T cells, like terrier dog. I'm afraid to say certain words, so I'm going to say terrier dog cells, if you get my meaning. These are people who use violence to intimidate people or to manipulate people to get them to do what they want. So, and it's always like random. It's like violence against crowds, groups, civilians, not against targeted individuals who are combatants of any kind. So you're still here, even though I'm saying all this stuff. So, so this is what I was told, right? And so because I was told this several months ago by my spirit guides, the fact that we're now getting all of this information, if you're following the emails of Epi at all, like there are lots of creators out there who are like reading them or having ChatGPT analyze them, or, going through them and summarizing and analyzing them. If you're doing any of that, looking at any of that work, then you know that these emails, and these are just the emails, these are not the files. The files are still under lock and key because Blondie is like, she's trying to do the most to make sure we never see them. Uh-oh, see my chair. I tell you, my chair's not very good. I might go flying in a minute. I'm in the garage on the broken chair at my sister's house with dim lighting. So bear with me. But I wanted to go live because I haven't been live for like a week. I should be paying attention to people who are donating. I see a donation here, but where are you? I want to put you on the screen. So we got Kathleen O'Malley. Oh, I know you, Kathleen. You're always here. Thank you, Kathleen. Let me look for your, I want to put you up on the screen, and thank you. Oh, I have a bunch of them. Uh-oh. Okay, see, I was just holding forth like I do. Kathleen O'Malley, thank you, Dr. Vest. Love your informational vlogs. Thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. And I think I'm going to get to you if you made a, and some people have questions with their donation, so I want to make sure that I'm not missing any of those. So thank you, Susan Belvin, for your super sticker. I appreciate you. And thank you, Happy Bannister. Are you a Bannister? Are you a lawyer in the UK? or Benster. Anyway, I think it's Bannister. Okay, I hope I got everybody. So thank you. Oh yeah, I want to put this up. Yeah. Yes, this is true. Listen to Amy Goodrich. Every aspect of society is involved in the files of Epi. So when I see what's coming out, if you just listen to people analyzing these files, sorry, not the files, just the emails. So keep in mind, we're just hearing about the emails, the 20,000 emails, but the files are not just emails. The files include videotapes, photographs, audio tapes, very incriminating. And so what I wanted to say about the book, Nobody's Girl, that I just finished, is that she talks about the fact that Epi, she was trafficked by him and Maxwellian for 2 years. I think it was 2 or 3 years, but it was quite a while, when she was like 16 to 19 or something. And when you hear about how they operate, it's just going to turn your stomach. But I'm not going to go into any of that detail. I don't want to trigger anybody. I just want to tell you the good news. The good news is that she specifically talks about how he had video cameras in every room in his house. And you can also see from the emails, if you're reading them, that he was always inviting people to his house and saying, oh, stay as long as you want. Use my house. And he would have them meet up with these girls in his house. Why? So he could record them. And then he would use that for blackmail or extortion. I forget which one is it called? Is it both? It's where you tell somebody, look, if you don't give me this money or do what I say, I'm going to release this incriminating information and ruin you. And so he did this to a lot of powerful men. And there's a lot of evidence for that in the emails that have already come out. The Epi emails that have already come out, if you're not following, there's a lot of evidence in there. There was also a New York Times article about this. There's been some important investigative reporting on this. Rosie, my mutual on YouTube, has also talked about this. She did a whole video on the New York Times article. I think it was New York Times or New Yorker, not sure which, article about the role of blackmail and extortion in the Epi ring. And so this guy, Epi, if you follow his biography, it doesn't make sense, right? He was uneducated. He was reportedly really smart, but there's a lot of smart people out there. It doesn't mean they become billionaires. You have to actually usually have education or training or something. But this guy kept being given jobs he wasn't qualified for. And he kind of became this very important financier with no training in accounting or finance to all of these millionaires around the world. And how did he do it? It's because he was providing them with these children and sometimes adult women, right? He was providing these people that he was trafficking and then recording them and then holding that over them and getting money from them. And right. And it kind of put him into a position of power. If you look at the emails, what's really interesting about so many things, but one of the things that's really interesting about the emails that have come out thus far, and they're not just emails, there's also like court records in there and text messages, and there's a few different types of documents. But what's interesting about it is that one of the things is that he was making decisions and advising world leaders about political events globally, the Epi guy. Why? He wasn't anybody, right? He didn't have any education. He didn't have any training. He was not a political, he was not a politician. He was not a leader. He was not a financier. He was not a trained financier. And yet he was able to play this role globally with all of these powerful people. Why? Because the one thing all these people had in common, this is just my opinion, I could be wrong, for entertainment purposes only, and allegedly, he was able to do this because the one thing they all had in common was PDF file activity and trafficking activity and call girl activity, etc. And so this all goes back to how the joust was stolen. It's all connected. And so when these files come out, the more stuff is coming out every day. So it's coming out, it's coming out, it's coming out. Right now, it's just the emails, but there's so much in the emails. But it's not just the emails, because it's also like this book, Nobody's Girl, which explains a lot, how he had the video cameras. Where are all those videotapes, right? So Blondie et al., they're not going to be able to like release only certain things and say, oh yeah, we just have a few files, here's some files. People are going to say, where are the videotapes? We know there are videotapes because Virginia told us, right? She was living in that house for 2 years. She knows. She's not the only one. There are all these survivors, right? They all know. They know who the people are. They know what happened. And so people who are worried about, oh, they're going to just pretend to release stuff and not, or they're going to redact stuff, or they're going to destroy stuff. There are so many people, women who were survivors and others, people who were paralegals, who were clerks in all these court cases, people who worked in the FBI for the last 20 years. It's been going on for 20 years, this case. There are a lot of witnesses out there who know what is in those files. And so they're not going to be able to successfully keep it quiet forever. Okay, let me look at some of your questions and comments. I haven't seen the documentary yet, but I did just find out that there was a documentary. I think it was called Epi. No, I forgot. I forgot the name of the documentary. Someone can put it in the chat. Oh, I can smell the fire. My sister has fireplaces. It's quite nice. We actually think it's cold here in California. I got my jacket on. It's like in the 50s, and we're all got the fire going and drinking hot drinks. I know everyone else in other parts of the country think it's hilarious that we think it's cold. I grew up in Chicago, so I do know what minus 10-degree weather feels like. I grew up in that wind chill. Okay. Okay, let me just get a couple of your comments up here. From Debbie Quigley, follow the money when it comes to Epi. The felon is wrapped up in the finances, as are many big banks. Yeah, and he's not just wrapped up in the finances, but he's wrapped up in the actual criminal activity. And we know that, of course, because there's already been 30 odd women who came forward back in 2016 accusing him of sexual misconduct, allegedly. And we also know, because there were, if you haven't heard about this, there were I think there were 4 different settlements that he made. We're talking about Head Clown. He made 4 different settlements, and these court documents are available. They're publicly available. I think some of them are in this trove of emails too. But there are these documents, court case records, showing that 4 different settlements were made between Head Clown and very young children, the parents of very young children. I think there was a 10-year-old boy, an 11-year-old boy, a 12-year-old girl, and a 13-year-old girl. But someone correct me. I might not have the ages exactly right, but I know they varied between 10 and 12 or 10 and 13. Very small children who had accused him of rape. And the parents settled. It didn't go to court. It didn't go to criminal court. They settled in a civil case, or instead of going to trial. And so we have those records that there were 4 different cases of small children being essayed, and all pointing to the same Head Clown. So that's information that's out there. It's not like this is really that new. It's that he has been very successful at evading justice. And the reason he's been, I think, based on what my guide said, the reason he's been able to evade justice is because he has blackmail material on people, and because he's a part of this network, and there are a lot of people who are invested in him because he's a tool for what they want. So remember the 7 wealthy merchants I've been talking about the last year, what we might call billionaires or tech bros. they all stood to win from this, and they are winning right now. They're benefiting financially, but also not just financially in terms of power structure. And then there are people like Rasputin, right, in the land of vodka, and who I call dictator noodle in the land of milk and honey, where the G side is happening in the desert. They also have reasons to benefit by the head clown in terms of power structure of the globe. Um, Let me get to your questions. I'm just trying to kind of go over a lot of the information that my guides have given me over the last year. And of course, I've posted all this for the last year, but some of you haven't been following me for a whole year. So I was just trying to update you on the bigger picture. Because this epi network, this epi file disclosure that's happening slowly, it's trickling out, right? It's trickling. It's going to spell the downfall of the circus, and not just the circus. It's going to expose these global networks of bad traffic and these global networks of corrupt power. It's just kind of revealing the dirty underbelly of our world. And this needs to happen because we're going through a shift in consciousness right now, right? We are at this point in our evolution as a planet where we are having to face some really hard facts about who we are so that we can completely let go of that system and build something new. That's where we're at. And so we have to go through this ugly part to get to that part. But let me stop talking and look at your questions and your comments. Somebody was sharing the documentary. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't even know what that is. I'm putting it up there because I thought it referred to the documentary. Okay, this I agree with, Jasmine Talford. I have talked about this a little bit in some of my videos, that yes, there's a spiritual component to these people. They're not just in power because of money and violence and bad traffic. Those are all components, but they're also in power because of spiritual activities. So they do engage in what I call filthy magic, like she says, spiritually dirty, same thing, like filthy magic, rituals. And I've talked about how it's related to, energetically working with demonic forces in order to gain power. That's a whole nother conversation. I did do a whole video on it. So yeah, this person said, I'm guessing there were rituals. Yeah, there were definitely rituals. There are ongoing rituals, right? But here's the thing. The power of love magic, the power of those of us who have powers, who are witches or magical people, hoodooists, voodooists, right? There's so many traditions, medicine people. We also have magic, right? And we also have rituals, and we also have power. And so sometimes we have these battles, right, between the good magic and the filthy magic. And it's really about numbers at this point. We have reached that tipping point energetically. And this is one of the things I've been working on for the last year, is trying to help people to raise their vibration so that collectively we would reach that critical mass or that tipping point where the energy of people who are focused on unity and love and progress, and evolution, where our power, our collective power is stronger than theirs. And that's where we're at right now. They're a smaller group, we're a larger group. They were more focused and more disciplined and more like they were using their negative powers for a very particular purpose, and we were more scattered and we weren't unified. But we have really unified over the last year, and many of us are meditating and visualizing the future we want to see. Many of us are doing our own rituals of protection or of healing for the planet. Many of us are engaging in charity and service work, protesting, coming together with other people, fighting for a common goal. All of this stuff raises our vibration and empowers us and gets us to that point where we will be powerful enough to defeat those people, even though they're working with these demonic forces and they have all these powerful people and all this gold bullion, right? And all these structures of these crime structures, we are still more powerful, potentially more powerful than all of them, because we have the numbers and we have our own forces that we're drawing on. You know, I work with so many guides. I have so many angels and guides and ancestors. I work with the rock people, with Mother Earth, I work with the sun. Um, and there's lots of us. There's lots of us who are tapped in and tuned in to all kinds of forces and gods and goddesses and powers, whatever you want to call them, good forces. Um, our higher self, just tapping into your higher self in a meditation empowers you and gives you, energetic energy, right? When we come together, meditate together, hold hands together, go to a protest together, sing together, go to a spiritual service together, go out in nature together. Whenever we do that, we're bringing our power together and kind of concentrating it in a way that allows us to shift the planet in a particular direction. In the case of those of us in the United States, that's allowing us to shift our nation. And of course, we're all connected. So the US is connected to lots of other countries. And so what we do here does impact a lot of people. And a lot of people are counting on us. A lot of people are unhappy with us. A lot of people are like, why haven't you kicked out that circus yet? Right? Because they don't know how hard it is. From afar, you don't know how hard it is. We've been fighting. So many of us have been fighting for an entire year, right? We've been resisting, persisting, doing what we can in various and sundry ways for the last year. We are exhausted. Some of us are depressed. Some of us are angry. Some of us are, wore out. And yet we're still doing it, right? And we have to take breaks. We got to take care of ourselves. We can't be fighting all the time. I've been involved in lots of, activism in my local community. And, we've all recognized that we all have to take breaks, and we don't always do that stuff. Like I was doing anti-frozen water work, medic work for rapid response type stuff. And it was, oh my God, it was so dark and so oppressive and so sad, especially for those of us who are empaths, to just have that feeling of overwhelm, like all of these horrific things are being done to my neighbors, to people who live in my town, and I can't stop it. Like it's overwhelming, right? And it's very difficult. And so we can't always be doing the, stuff on the street every day. I did medic for a while, and then I'm not going to break from medicing now. I'm like, nope, can't do that for a while. It's too much. Let someone else do it now. And that's what we do. We all take turns. But that reminds me, I want to talk about another protest, another strategy that I thought was very, very inspiring. And that was the ice scraper protest. And someone tell me where it was. I think it was in the Midwest. Was it Wisconsin? So let me talk about the ice scrapers. So if you don't already know, someone got the bright idea that they were going to go to the homie despot place. I'm trying to avoid using proper names because this is all allegedly. But this Homey Depot place, they have been very complicit in what the frozen water has been doing to our brown brothers and sisters. And they've been cooperating, and they've been, handing people over and allowing frozen water to come into the stores. And they've been doing all kinds of stuff. And so a lot of people are boycotting them. But this one group someone tell me, is it Wisconsin? Let me look and see if someone answers that question. It's in California. Of course it is. Yay, it's in California. I thought it was someplace cold because they were getting the ice scrapers. Shows you how much I know. Okay, so all these people said, hey, we're not just going to boycott this place. We're going to go, and we're going to go buy ice scrapers because, it's kind of icy out here, and we need to get the ice off our windshields. And so they were selling ice scrapers at this place for only 17 cents. And so all of these people lined up, hundreds of people. And someone tell me in the comments if you know what organization this was. Like, was it Indivisible? Was it like an organization? Was it a church? Who did this? But hundreds of people went to the homie despot place to buy their 17-cent ice scrapers. And then directly after they bought them, they decided, you know what? There's not that much ice on my windshield right now. I don't think I really need this ice scraper, so I'm going to go stand on the return line and get my money back. And I don't really want to buy this ice scraper. Well, when hundreds of people do that, it effectively prevents the store from doing business that day, which is what happened. So someone in the comments says it was in Monrovia, California. Very impressive, Monrovia. And so they did this, and it had a very big impact. I forget. Does anyone know the number of? Someone calculated how much money was lost from these transactions. And if you used a credit card, that was a bonus because then there were fees that don't get refunded to the business. So yeah, someone said, here we go. They closed the whole store down. Okay, thank you. Anyway, I love this. And I think this should be like something that we all do, because don't we all have icy windows? I mean, I know there's ice where I live, and I might need an ice scraper. And then maybe I might not. Like, maybe I think I need one, but I don't need one. And, I might not know that until after I buy it. Anyway, I thought it was a great project. And we got to focus on this. We are very powerful. Oh, here we go. Someone gave us the organization. It was hosted by the National Day Laborer Organizing Network. I love that because, see, day laborers oftentimes get work there. And the homie place decided, oh, we're just going to take advantage of the fact that we know that to cooperate with the frozen water people and get all these people kidnapped. And this is the thing. This is the thing we have to remember about, like, Smotsy, Germany. Smotsy, Germany happened not because there were a small group of really nasty characters, villains, right? The Gestapo people. It wasn't because of them entirely. It was because of all the people who were complicit. So there was a whole book that I read. It was like this fat that I read when I was a postdoc. And I think it was called The Willing Executioners. Someone tell me the correct name. Willing Executioners. And it was about how your everyday German, and this is I'm not trying to talk bad about Germans. I just think this is an important historical lesson. And Germany has dealt with this. They've acknowledged this, and they've actually dealt with this. They have museums. They have a move. They've been really good about dealing with their history, and so they will agree. I think any Germans here will agree with me what I'm saying. Everyday German citizens complied. They went along with what the Smotsies were doing. They didn't interfere for the most part. Yeah, there were some heroes. Right. But the majority did nothing. The majority complied, cooperated, and assisted. And this is the lesson that we have to learn right now. We need to not do that, right? Not cooperate. And there are so many ways not to cooperate. And the homie despot place has totally failed. They have decided to just 100% cooperate and comply with the kidnappers. And we're going to remember that, right? We're going to remember that. That's another thing my guide said. And for those who are just joining, I'm sorry that the lighting is bad. I'm in my sister's garage, not at home. I wonder if I move this, if it will help. Is that better? I don't think so. Or should I try to make this bigger? Is this brighter? Oh, maybe that's brighter. Oh, does it go this way? It's not my regular light. We have to not cooperate, and we all have to find a way to not cooperate. And it's going to be different for each of us. right? Some people are in positions of power where their non-cooperation looks one way. Other people are just neighbors. Like those New Yorkers who ran into the parking structure and they were like, "Oh, not on my watch. You're not going to kidnap people right in front of me." Um, that's happening everywhere, that people are just confronting the frozen water and saying, "I'm not going to stand idly by while you commit these crimes against my neighbors. I'm not going to." Um, and that's what we need. We need everybody to do that in whatever way they can. We can't all do it in the same way. People who look like me, I can't confront the frozen water people because they'll probably just grab me, right? But somebody who looks like this can actually do that without having the same fear of hold on, Dad. Dad.
What?
Sorry, I have to, because you know what? I needed a light. Can you get me another light?
I'll ask Julia.
It's too dark in here. My dad just came in here and passed me a note, so I'm like, might as well ask him to get me a light. He hates it when I mention him on my lives. Too bad. We all have to find a way, right? We all have to find a way to not cooperate. And the people that do cooperate and are complicit, is this better? We're going to remember them. How's that? We're going to remember these people. And there's going to be tribunals. There's going to be hearings. And that's why we have to document everything too. My guides did say this too. They said we have to document this, like write journals, write things down, take pictures. Remember how the mayor of Chicago and the governor of Illinois, they said document everything, take pictures and movies of everything the frozen water does. And then they decided, have you heard about this? Okay, this is more good news. You may not know about this. They created a petition to the United Nations for human rights abuses in Chicago. And I just found out this week, who did I find it out from? Now I can't remember. Might have been my Uber driver. I get information everywhere. I got my ear to the ground all the time. But somebody told me that, okay, let's try that. My dad brought a light. Yeah, that's better. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hopefully you can see me better.
Julia wants to come out here. She said, wind it up.
Uh-oh, I'm being told I'm being kicked out of the garage. Someone needs to use the home gym. My dad's giving me some advice. I have to look at the advice from my... Okay, so we all have to figure out what we can do. So what I was going to tell you, this news, is that this person told me, I forget who, and they said you can find this information online, so you can Google it and get this documentation. But they put in a petition to the United Nations for human rights abuses in the United States, particularly in Chicago, as a result of the frozen water. And what this person told me is that our mayor, well, the mayor of Los Angeles is a part of that petition, and that there are some mayors and leaders from around the country who are all participating in that petition. And because I was just complaining to someone saying, well, why can't the LA mayor do a UN petition, like the Chicago mayor, right? And this person said, well, she's involved in that. So I haven't looked it up yet, but I recommend that you do it, because there are acts of resistance going on that we don't even know about, like that, where people are doing things and we don't even know what they're doing. And also, I think that we could all expand that. For example, you could find out, go look at that document online. And if someone knows, okay, now it's the lights in front of my comments. So let me see if I can see your comments. I'm going to try to maybe just move to another location so I don't have to end the live. But I would recommend that you find that document, and I could go outside where it's probably plenty light. So I'm going to try that. Let's see what happens when I go outside. You could find that document and look and see, is your mayor or your governor or someone where you live, if they're involved in this petition. And if they're not, you could maybe reach out to your mayor and say, you know, I would like you, it's kind of wet out here, I would like you to be involved and add your name to this petition, or maybe do your own separate petition, right? Like maybe your governor needs to do their own petition. And then we could have all these petitions, right? We could have petitions coming from like every city. Okay, I can turn this off. Every city, I don't know how to turn his phone light off, in the country, right? What if there were petitions going to the United Nations complaining about human rights violations from, you know, Portland and Seattle and Chicago and Los Angeles and Washington, D.C. and Philadelphia and Charlotte, right? All these places where the frozen water has been. And we all put petitions in. That would be very powerful, right? They would definitely investigate, because so what I've been told is when you put these petitions in, they then send investigators to your country to investigate the human rights abuses. And we all know, at least all the dreaming women know, that we need the world involved in this, right? It's not just going to be us, because it's the world that was involved in this happening, right? And so the world's going to have to be involved in the revelation about the fact that this joust was stolen. And so a lot of dreaming women, a lot of 4am, a lot of psychics have said the same thing, that it's going to come from outside. The evidence that the joust was finagled is going to come from outside of our country. Trying to hold this camera, this laptop. All right, so let me take a break from talking. And I'm supposed to remind you, please like and subscribe. And thank you for all your comments. And I want to thank everyone who's already subscribed. I want to thank everyone who's already liked and commented for these last several months. Listening to my videos, I appreciate you. And I want to thank everybody who's sent me super chats and super stickers and what all they're called. Oh, there's a thing here I can show the comments on the stage. I forgot about that. So you can see the comments. Sorry. I want to thank you all. And if you want to support my channel, another way you can support it is by becoming a member. Another way you can support it is by joining my Patreon, which is in my bio. And in my Patreon, I do these behind the scenes videos. I also do behind the scenes videos for my members here on YouTube. So if that's something you're interested in, or if you just want to support the channel, you know, I appreciate that. Okay, Foxy Roxy said they're going to check, see if their governor is a part of it. Yeah, let's everybody check. And this person's like, oh no, I have Governor DeSantis. So I know you're in Florida because I used to live there. Yeah, but so maybe you can't get your governor, but maybe it'll be like your mayor, right? Or maybe it's a city council member, or maybe it's you, because I know it's possible for just a citizen to also do this petition. You just have to have evidence. So if you have video, if you're one of those people who's been videotaping the frozen water as they're kidnapping people, you can submit that videotape as evidence. And a lot of people, I know in LA, a lot of people have been videotaping from the beginning. And I know a lot of people all over have been videotaping. So all of that is evidence. All of that can be used as evidence. These people do not have badges. They don't wear uniforms. They are masked men, mostly men, not all men. They are violent. They are throwing people to the ground. They are not checking ID. They are not accepting ID from people that they think look a certain way. So like there's a lot of Native Americans who've been detained. There are hundreds of American citizens who have been detained who have citizenship. Doesn't matter. They look a certain way. They're profiled. these are human rights violations. So we could all make petitions to the United Nations, and I think this would be really powerful. We could all go buy ice scrapers too, and also we can all refuse to spend money this whole week during the blackout week, which a lot of us are doing, especially Amazonia, Tarjay, and the Homie Despot place. Those are the three main places that the boycott is focused on. But all right, let me see. Let me look at your questions and comments. Oh yeah, this will be replayed on my YouTube. So my lives are always posted on my YouTube. So when you go to my YouTube to see the live replay, you have to click on the live tab. So at the top, it'll say like videos, shorts, community, and live, something like that. And you click on the live, and then it shows you all of the replays of all the lives that I've done. So that's where they are. And they just show up like a few minutes after I finish the live. Oh, I have to. This is very sweet. Help me, Jesus, too. Thank you for becoming educated as you grew up. You are a difference maker, and we are learning from you. Thank you. I have my family to thank for that. I came from a family that really emphasized education. I'm trying to find a place to put this. And so from the time I was young, I was encouraged to study a lot. And when I was 10 years old, I said to my dad, what's the highest degree there is? And he said, a PhD. And I said, that's what I'm going to get. And I did. And so I have a lot of different education, and it's interesting how it's all coming together now and becoming useful for this particular moment in time, because I have a background in physics and history and philosophy, and I used to be a professor, and I'm a medium, a psychic medium, a medical intuitive, a healer, and I have all of these people in my background who were psychics and healers, and then I also have all these people in my background who were educated, and so I'm kind of bringing together these different ways of acquiring knowledge, and I'm applying them to the current moment. I also have storytellers in my history, so I became a storyteller. My grandmother was a storyteller. She used to have her own radio show, and she told me, actually after she died, because I'm a medium, I talked to the dead, and she came back and told me, I said, what am I supposed to do with my life? I was like 25 when I asked her this, because she died when I was, I think, 25. And she said, tell stories. And I didn't know what that meant, because I'm a poet, I'm a historian. And I was like, what kind of stories? Historian stories, poet stories, right? And now here I am telling stories on the internet. All right, let me catch up on the comments and make sure I'm not missing any still boycotting. Yes. Oh, that's not the one. There it is. Still boycotting. Yes, let's keep that going. This person said they're going to do the Home Depot. Oops. Trying not to use names. Ice scraper. This person says they really need an ice scraper for their car. Here's another list from Blonde Rebel Tarot. Here's just a nice comment we can all listen to. Love and light. Thank you, Leek Sid. Oh, there's a question I missed from Susie. Let me see. Where is it? So I'm looking for questions I can answer. Oh, here's some good news from Help Me Jesus too. You can tell the blackout is working. So many insane texts and emails and sales being extended. Keep it up, friends. Yeah, so I have been seeing a number of videos showing empty stores. I did, however, see that CNN was reporting record sales, record Black Friday sales, and I was like, what? So I'm still looking for more evidence. we're not going to know probably until the sales, what is it, like the third quarter, first quarter or something, sales numbers come out. So I'm just looking for questions to answer. And then so Deanna says that we're no longer part of the UN, that we were pulled out. Well, I know that, like, we're not a part of the ICC. I think we're still a part of the UN, but maybe I just don't have that news yet. And so some people say, well, we're not a part of the ICC, the International Criminal Court, therefore we can't ever be held to account for crimes that we commit. But even if we think that's true, documenting things and speaking out about human rights abuses is always a good thing, because that puts everyone else on alert. Like, if we don't tell people what's going on and they don't know what's going on, then they can't make a decision about whether or not they want to help us in some way. And that's true not just about other countries, that's true about other cities, it's true about neighbors. If something happens to you and you don't tell anybody, then you'll never get justice. But if we tell people and just keep telling people what's going on and how bad it is, I think it will contribute to justice in the end. Even when it looks like certain things are obstacles, like, oh, well, the ICC, we don't abide by the ICC because we're like a rogue state or whatever. That doesn't mean that we're not going to have success, right? Yeah, so this person is agreeing with me. We are in the UN, we're just not in the ICC. So people sometimes get those mixed up. So here's another person giving us that. The United Nations is a founding and permanent member of the United Nations. We played a pivotal role in the UN's creation after World War II, and we are a central participant. Okay, thank you, Debly Quigley, because I was like, okay, when did that happen? And no one told me that we're not in the UN. So for this, I was telling people to look for this petition. I believe it's UN Commission on Human Rights, something like that. Human rights abuses petition. What you could do to find that might help is put in the name of the mayor of Chicago. The person who was telling me about it said they put in Karen Bass, that's the mayor of Los Angeles. They put her name in and UN petition, and that's how they found it. But you can also put in the mayor, I forget his name, Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago. You put his name in next to UN petition human rights abuses. That should help you find it. Oh yeah, I love the breath of Hex. Yeah, I was saying Heg's breath, and then I started calling him breath of Hex. Small Business Monday, good reminder. So it's not that we're not doing any purchasing. It's just that we're only going to purchase small businesses. We don't want those people to get hurt by this. Okay, I'm just going to answer a couple more questions, and then that's probably we've probably been on here long enough. Excuse me. Oh, gotta get that fourth one out. It's cold out here. Yeah, so I'm not going to do a meditation today because I have a sore throat. So I'm going to also not talk forever. I talk too much already. Oh, here's a question. So I'm going to answer this question. And, I have to. Oh, but there's a super chat question I missed. Oh, thank you, Mama T447, your light shines so brightly. Thank you for the donation. And here's another one. Thank you. Oops, I did the wrong one. Oxford Cat, thank you for the donation. Here's a question. Can you tell us what you are getting from Three Eye Atlas? What I'm getting from Three Eye Atlas? Okay, I'm going to answer that question, and then let me just make sure I answered all the. Did I put them all up there? Sorry, I have a little bit of a. So there's another question. I have two questions. I'm going to get to both. They're similar. So one is this one. Can you tell us what you're getting from Three Eye Atlas? And the other one, which I'll put up in a minute, another super chat question is, what's the significance of Three Eye Atlas in the unveiling of the Epi files and its impact? So for those who don't know, I've been following the interstellar object Three Eye Atlas very closely, and I've been looking at all of the reports by the astrophysicists, the astronomers, and the psychics and different people. And then I also myself was tuning in and channeling with Three Eye Atlas, and also with my guides, and also with the sun, and asking about Three Eye Atlas. And when I asked them about their purpose in being here, the first time I asked, they were like, we're not here for you. It's not about you. And they were really focused on various life forms in the solar system. So Mars, Venus, Jupiter, the sun, and the earth. And so they're doing these kind of flybys by all of these bodies because they're interested in the life forms on all of these bodies, planetary and otherwise. And they did tell me that they were doing some work with the sun, some energetic work that was going to positively impact all of the life forms in our solar system. Now, I've heard some other psychics refer to this as ascension codes, or that something that Three Eye Atlas was doing was going to, impact humanity. So I am getting that, not with the same language, but I am getting that what they're doing is going to positively impact us. And as far as how it's related to the files of Epi, I think that, we're in this moment, this kind of historical and cosmological moment, where we're in a period of revelation and revolution and transformation and waking up. And that's all happening right now. The files of Epi are one example of that. The fact that they're revealing so many things that we need to know. And Three Eye Atlas is revealing to us that we're not alone, that there are beings out there, that we're not the only beings. And they're not like a big disclosure event, right? They're not coming down here and shaking hands with us and showing us that they're aliens or whatever, but they are sending data to our scientists, is what they told me, that makes it clear that they are an intelligent being. And they're doing that to create a scientific revolution. And it's not even really just about like intelligent life in the universe. It's about challenging the scientific community to think beyond their limited understanding of the physical laws of the universe. And so even if the scientists absolutely refuse to consider the possibility that this is a intelligent being of some kind, they still have to address all of the anomalies that challenge their standard model for how physics works, especially astrophysics. And so it's creating a type of scientific revolution. And so I do think these are all related. I mean, that's what my guide said. They said there's a scientific revolution going on with Three Eye Atlas. There's a political revolution going on really globally in a lot of countries. And in our case, it has to do with people rising up against the circus, and it has to do with the files being revealed. But there's also a spiritual revolution that's happening, and we see evidence of that in the 4 a.m. Club, the Dreaming Women, all of these women who started waking up the day after the joust with dreams and intuitive knowings and all of the kind of increase in the number of people that we're seeing on these platforms just out in the world who are tuning in psychically and intuitively and mediumistically and getting information and sharing it with the world. This is also evidence of this spiritual revolution that's happening. Because even people who aren't psychic or they're not religious, or they were never interested in this woo-woo stuff, they are now beginning to think about the spiritual significance of what's going on. And so we are having this spiritual revolution that's also happening. We're also having the rise of the divine feminine happening right now. And that is also why the epiphiles are happening right now, because the epiphiles are all about the oppression of women and girls. And yes, there were some male victims, but the vast majority are women and girls. And the vast majority of the perpetrators are men. Not all of them, right? We got Maxwellian. And so this is about the rise of the divine feminine and the destruction of the toxic patriarchy. And that's another revolution that's happening right now. So yes, these are all related. I'll just put up her question too from Kathleen. These are all related, right? Three Eye Atlas, the unveiling of the epiphiles, the rise of the divine feminine, the rise of the people in the United States, the rise of the people in Nepal and these other places, Sri Lanka, right? There's been a lot of uprisings of a lot of people globally. The challenges to supremacist ideologies that are happening not just in this country, but in many countries in Europe, in Canada. This is a global thing. And this all has to happen. There has to be a reckoning, right? There has to be a reckoning with regard to our history. We have this horrible history as a country, the United States, when it comes to oppression. You know, the stealing of all the land of the indigenous people, the G side committed against the indigenous people, the G side committed against the Africans who were kidnapped and brought here. The years of horrific, the and then there are so many other historical things we could talk about, histories of oppression that our country is founded on, that we have to reckon with, right? We have to address this. We have to, because the reason there are these militias today, the reason that the head clown had the support that he did, because even though he didn't have enough support to win, he had millions of supporters, right? Not enough to win, but enough to be a sizable force. And those people exist and were available to be kind of manipulated or kind of tapped in and tuned in and on board with the circus rhetoric because of our history, right? We have a very long history of supremacist ideology, of patriarchal, sexist, misogynist ideology, of homophobic ideology, right? Of anti-environment, anti-indigenous ideology, of capitalist, manipulation and control of people, of the oppression of workers. We have these long histories of these things. And so when someone like him comes along and says, I believe in all of these forms of inequality and hierarchy, and I believe that you are the chosen superior one, and I'm going to make sure that I oppress everybody who doesn't look like you and doesn't have your genitalia or whatever, your sexual orientation. I'm going to do that for you. The only reason people were receptive to that is because of our long history. And so we got to deal with that, right? So we're kind of being forced to deal with it right now. Just like we're being forced to deal with the robber barons and how we've allowed these oligarchs to take over, our government, our economy, our society. Like all of this has to be dealt with now. And so we're in this situation where everything is just coming to a head, and we're in the middle of all these revolutions, and it's a terrible time, and it's an exciting time to be alive, right? When we chose this, everyone who incarnated at this time did so knowing that we were going to go through some things, a lot of things. And we chose to incarnate at this time because we knew that we were going to be able to contribute in some way, that we were going to be able to help. And so each one of us is helping in some way, and we all have a way to help get us through these terrible times so that we can shift our consciousness. Thank you to Annie D. Richardson for the super sticker. And thank you for everybody for your super stickers and super chats, and for listening and for commenting. Thank you to Tammy Sea Salts for your super chat. And see if I get them all. Thank you. Did I already get you? Oh, okay. Okay, so hopefully I got acknowledged everybody's donations. Oh, here it is. Somebody just mentioned another person about this petition. Okay, here, is this the same petition we've already been talking about? A group of community leaders and activists, including Dolores Huerta, Representative Maxine Waters, filed a petition calling for a UN investigation into human rights violations during those sweeps. So this is what we've been talking about for much of the last hour, is how we can all get involved in that, and how we can all get our mayors and our governors and our council members involved. Oh, I'm suddenly blurry. How interesting. Oh, look at the sky. Isn't that amazing? I don't know if you can see, but it's pink and blue. Isn't that pretty? So yeah, we can all get involved in that UN petition, or we can all get our leaders involved. And yes, there's already that one, but there's also, we can keep doing them. We can keep doing lots of petitions until they're just inundated with petitions. And yes, Alba J. Riley, spirit guides and angels work if we ask for help. And I think your comment showed up for me too, because my beloved bulldog was named Riley, and he's in spirit. And so you're here to remind me of him. So thank you, everybody. And if you want to join as a member, you can get behind the scenes info. If you want to join my Patreon, you can get behind the scenes info. And I forgot to put the oh my goodness, I forgot to buy me a coffee thing. I totally forgot. If you want to buy me a coffee, there's my little QR code that I totally forgot about. And I just want to thank everyone who already bought me a coffee over the last couple of weeks. I just got this buy me a coffee thing a couple weeks ago, and I just got my first payout, and I really appreciate it. Every little bit helps to allow me to keep doing this work and not worry about, earthly things. So thank you so much. And I want, let me put this up here. This is what I was recommending. Like, let's all submit petitions to the UN. Let's all find our leaders, get them to submit, or maybe submit your own petition. If you have videotape of a raid that you took on your camera, you can submit with that. If you have any documentation of human rights abuse related to that, you can submit that. Or you can get together with other people and kind of pool your documentation, because maybe like if you work with rapid response, like I did some medic work with rapid response, and I didn't take any video because the work I was doing, I didn't have that ability. But some of the people I worked with were doing video. And so you might know people who have video, and you could get together with them. You could form your own group, or you could get together with a group that already exists and suggest that they also put a petition together. So yeah, there are already petitions out there, and we could have many more. Here's another one. Mountain Pockets filed by groups like the NAAC and the ACU. So have they also filed petitions? I don't know if you're saying they already did or if you're suggesting they do. They might have already done it. Yeah. So there's lots of ways. There's lots of ways for us to resist. And we all have something that we can do, whether it's just buying an ice scraper or not buying anything this week, or getting together a petition, contacting your representatives. There's so many ways we can help. Thank you, Queenie the Genie, for your donation of $19.99. I appreciate it. I'm always on these lives saying, oh, I should leave. We've been on here a while, and then I always want to stay on. But I do always like to keep looking in the comments to see if there's questions that I haven't answered, or just comments that I can share. Oh yeah, I did want to, we haven't had a chance to talk. I'm going to do another live later this week about 3i Atlas, because we spent this whole time talking about the circus and the epi-files and the UN petition. But I also want to do a live about 3i Atlas, because there's even more anomalies now, and there are also 2 other objects. So this person, Payson Data, is talking about the new one is acting like 3i Atlas. So there's one called Swan. I don't know the full name, but there's one called Swan, another, comet in quotes, that also has a jet facing the sun, which doesn't really make sense, but it's the same thing that 3i Atlas was doing. And so, yeah, we have some other interesting objects out there. And I was gonna, oh, look at this. Thank you, Deb Muse. Hit the like button, she says. Or they say, I don't know your pronoun. They say, thank you for that roundup 719 we had at that point. You love the set design today. Thank you. I'm at my sister's house. I was in the garage, and now I'm out in the yard. Just, so it's a little hard to see. That's why. It's getting dark. It's getting dark here. Oh, here's somebody with some more information about the UN petition, because I was told the Chicago mayor filed the petition, and Merithim says no. He testified before the UN Human Rights Council, calling for an investigation into human rights abuses. Okay, so maybe that's different from filing a petition. What I know about it is that they are coming to Chicago because of him. They are indeed coming to investigate. And I also know there was a petition where lots of different, like the LA mayor, I think the governor of Illinois, different governors and mayors signed on to that. And so we need more. Oh, thank you. Someone just gave me some advice. Ginger, dill, weed, and lime. Okay. So I was just combing through for any last minute questions that I missed. But it is, yeah, last year it was drones. Now it's anomalies. Last year it was orbs, then drones. Now we have comets that don't act like comets. That's because the beings are coming. The star beings are coming. It's getting pretty dark out. You probably can't see me. So, here's my little light. So I'm going to say good night. I want to thank everyone for coming. And I'll do another live in a couple of days. And thank you to everybody for showing up, for commenting. And I will talk to you soon.